Okay, for those in the calculus-based class, we're now going to look at deriving the kinematic equations using integral calculus, well, integral and differential calculus. Okay, so we want to start with the definition of acceleration in differential form. Okay, and what I can do is, suppose I want to derive an expression for velocities, right? So my velocities are going to be wrapped up in here, and I'm going to want to integrate this equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by dt, and mathematicians will tell you that this is a big no-no, but physicists tell you it's okay because the results that we get are the same anyway. All right, so we can multiply by dt, and it's not a big deal. And now I'm going to integrate. And I'm going to integrate over some time interval, call it from 0 to t, right? And I'm going to call my bounds of integration from some initial velocity to some final velocity. And we can even say that this is t initial to t final. It does not matter, okay? And these are easily integratable. And so if I integrate this side, I'm going to get vf. Well, let's do the formal integration. The integration of dv is v, and I'm going to evaluate that between the bounds of vi and vf. And I can pull a outside of my integration, since we're assuming, I should have specified this from the beginning, okay? These kinematic equations hold under the assumption of uniform acceleration, okay? So these kinematic equations hold under the assumption of uniform acceleration. So since my acceleration is uniform, I can pull it out of the integral. And, well, then I'm left with the integral of dt, which is just t, and that's going to be evaluated between these initial and final bounds. And this will give me vf minus vi is equal to a times tf minus ti, and tf minus ti is just delta t, and I can add vf to both sides, or vi to both sides rather, and there we have it. We have derived the first of the kinematic equations. Okay, and now that we have this kinematic equation, we can start with this equation, integrate it, and then we can also derive the second of the kinematic equations. All right, so let's do so. And so we have v is equal to vi plus a delta t, and I'm going to assume that our initial time was 0. Okay, so now we just have t, and that's a very reasonable assumption. Almost every time interval that we use, we can assume that our stopwatch, whatever clock we use to measure the time interval, starts from 0. So that's a very reasonable assumption. Now, we're also going to use the fact that v, rather, is equal to dx dt, right? Now we're going to then do the same thing we did before. We're going to multiply both sides by dt, and we're going to get dx is equal to vi dt plus a t dt. Okay, and now once again, we're going to integrate. And we're going to integrate from some initial position to some final position, and from 0 to t. Okay? And when I integrate this equation, the integral of dx is just x evaluated at the endpoints. And here, vi, my initial velocity is a constant. So this can be pulled out. And the integral of dt is just, again, t. evaluated at the endpoints turns into just t. And here I'm going to have a over times the integral of t dt, evaluated from 0 to t. And the integral of t dt turns into 1/2 t squared. Evaluated from 0 to t. And so this turns into vi t plus 1/2 a, and then when I plug in my limits, I get t squared. And my limits over here, when I plug them in, are going to be xf minus xi. And we can rearrange this to write this in the original form, f equals xi plus vit plus 1/2 at squared. Now, before we move on, it'll be worth noting that we've integrated this equation twice. Okay? We started with this equation and we arrived at v equals vi plus at, and we integrated again to arrive here. So when we integrated this and arrived here, every time you integrate, you should obtain a constant of integration. And in the first kinematic equation case, this is our constant of integration. When we integrate again, we should get another constant of integration. And so if you integrate twice, you should have 2. And vi is your first constant of integration, and your initial position is then the second constant of integration. So anytime you integrate, you should always end up with a constant. Whether you are evaluating an integral with limits, or you're integrating an integral without limits and you obtain the famous integration constant c, right? Okay, so now that we've derived the first 2 kinematic equations, let's look at how to derive the third kinematic equation. In the third kinematic equation, we start here again, okay? But I'm going to multiply by 1 in an oddly looking form. Okay, I'm going to multiply by 1 in an oddly looking form. And what we're going to do now is rearrange and say dv dx dx dt. Okay, I've just flipped these denominators, and that's a perfectly valid thing to do. I'm just multiplying. So when I multiply, it does not matter what order I multiply in. So this is a perfectly legitimate thing to do. And so now, if you notice, dx dt, well, that's nothing but velocity. So another way that I can write acceleration is v times the derivative of v with respect to x. Okay? And now again, I have something that I can integrate. If I multiply both sides by dx, I'm going to get v dv is equal to a dx. And now I integrate from some initial velocity to some final velocity, and from some initial position to some final position. And the integral of v dv is just 1/2 v squared, and the integral of a dx is a times xf minus xi, right? And we have the limits here. And so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of the 1/2. And xf minus xi is just delta x. And vf squared, or I'm sorry, that shouldn't be f there yet, right? Because this is just the variable. We need to plug in the limits. So then I'm going to get VF squared minus VI squared equals 2A delta X. And when I add VI squared to the other side, we get VF squared equals VI squared plus 2A delta X. And there we have completed the derivation of our three kinematic equations using calculus from just the definition of acceleration. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. If you're better with calculus than maybe geometry and algebra, then this might make a little bit more sense on where these equations come from. But it's also useful to be able to derive them the algebraic way. All right, but in any case, there they are, and I hope you found that helpful.